Hello, everyone. Rebecca Rose, Sirius Blue, and I'm inviting you all to be with us today for another of my introductory episodes of Starseed Speak, my new interview series. I'm really happy to introduce you today to Moncef Afkir, who is the host of Your Divine Uniqueness, a show that is all about light work and light workers and coming back into heart and higher self. But Moncef, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks to you.
Thank you
Very
for
happy to be with you
coming.
and your community.
Yeah. You've had quite a journey to get from point A to point B in your life. The keynote piece of your bio is, you're the content creator, the host and creator of the Divine Uniqueness show, Your Divine Uniqueness show, which I was on, everybody, about a month ago. I'll link that YouTube below for everybody to check out one of those episodes with Moncef and I. Um, but there's so much to your story, and that's why I wanted to, your awakening journey and how you move from work in the tech world as an engineer, through, I'm sure, some challenges with your early, the traditional kind of environment you were in at the time, I believe in Morocco. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like a lot of I think instructive to our audience about following the heart's calling. This is really compelling to me because you had to take, I feel, a lot of risks to get from where you were within your world at the time, back in, this was in maybe 2013 when things began to really shift for you when you took the big leap over the chasm and things started to change for you. And we'll get into this, but I think there's a long, like what I would call like a starseed awakening story inside of this. It's really beautiful. I mean, yeah. Does any of that am I on track with any of this?
Uh, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, yeah, many things happening. I think for all of us,
yeah.
as we walk through our journey.
Yes. So much,
Yeah,
so much, so
yeah,
much. So we're going to dive into your story, and I also wanted to say that for Moncef, he leads others. He leads groups, group processes and journeys, creates a sacred space filled with the frequencies of comfort, acceptance, and love. And I very much experienced that when I was. You had me on your show, and it was just really you held a beautiful space, and that's in a safe space, a comforting place for both your guests and your audience. Um, and I like how you said this too. Typifying what you do in the world is transformative journeys which connect back with the true self, or we could say higher self, which is one of the I feel like one of the most important things that we could be doing right now is connecting back to our authentic self. And your journey, again, I think is also really speaking to that. You also work alongside beings of light. Um, and through their help, I think they're assisting with the whole process you take people through. So um, let's see where we begin here today with you. There's a lot to your journey. I know that. So I
right.
want to say, can we start off with that night in Turkey? You wrote to me about a night in Turkey where was it Turkey where you were camped out?
Yeah, in the mountains in the north.
Yeah. Were you camping?
No, no. I had a room in like I spent
Oh,
2 nights. Like I was in a village, like
huh.
in the mountains,
Okay.
and 8 days and 2 nights in like the top
Yeah.
of the mountain.
So when I read this bit, you sent me a beautiful, note with the keynotes of the journey that you'd been on, leading you through the past. I mean, what year was that? When
It
was
was I think October 2021.
it? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly 3 years ago.
Okay, so that was 3 years ago. So we're gonna jump around on your timeline a little bit, but what I'm a mountain person. I live in Alaska. I just got back from a 5-day solo trip down to Denali in the highest point in North America. I wasn't on the peak, but I was camped out. And anytime somebody's out, looking at the stars and having something really big happens for us. And tell us about that night. Tell us about that night.
Yeah, it's like it was the last night in that village, and I went outside, and it was like beautiful sky, like filled for with like it was like you see the stars, you see everything. But through all of that, like the Pleiades constellation was the one that really marked me. Like I was somehow just feeling to look into that. It felt that there was something. I didn't see it just like by coincidence,
Yeah.
and it kept like coming to my mind after that when I left. So I decided to maybe go deeper into that. I received some also. I booked some sessions with some of the healers that come to my show and talking about that. And she said that it's about a collaboration that is happening. It's you are already doing that. It's just coming to your awareness
Yes.
and trying to know how I can maybe share that in a more tangible way. And then I started doing the group sessions. I started like doing just maybe 5 minutes just to get comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
And later, little by little, I started just hosting like longer ones.
Yeah. 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 Just pausing, just feeling that night in Turkey, and I know you're a bit of a traveler. You know, you're currently in Europe, is that right? Living in Europe?
Yeah, in Spain.
You're in Spain.
Yeah.
So that's also something I'm going to dig into a little today. Um, what did you feel within you? Like what something lit up that night? I mean, what like I feel, my hand goes to my heart because I can really feel like, oh goodness me, something something profound happened that maybe, yeah, hard to put to words, but was there an emotion connected to that experience for you?
It, it, it was like two different experiences at the same time. Like I wanted to understand or to know, to feel that connection like even deeper, but at the same time there was some fear happening because it was something like new for me, to my mind, my understanding, and like the mind it couldn't grasp what's going on. So there was also some kind of protection happening, and at the same time this feeling of longing to
Mm.
feel into that even more. So
Yeah.
it's like
Mm.
both of them were happening.
Mhm. Yeah. I just feel like that was such a profound moment. And it's true. I mean, would you say like some of the most pivotal moments are, um, they can be in linear time in 3D, they can be kind of moments, like kind of short, but would you say maybe life-changing?
Yeah, because it showed a new path for me that
Yeah.
I didn't expect I will walk that path at that time. I
Yeah.
was only seeing myself as a host. Uh,
Yes, so which segue into like what did it lead you to? That night did change things. So you were have been hosting Your Divine Uniqueness show and having all these people on. And now how did this present you with a next step on the path for you?
um, do you mean how it helps me with?
Yeah, well, I think
Yeah,
something else opened, like you're being called. I think was it to guide the journeys? Was that where it was taking you? It's like, oh, I have something more to offer myself. Is that?
yeah. It was that feeling, and how to say? I'm trying to describe it with words. It's it felt that there is some energy like within, and I need to share it. It's not just for me to hold it, but it's more about sharing it.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't know exactly how I needed to start,
Mhm.
and then along the way, I can understand.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so it didn't come very clear like from the beginning. It was as I walked the path, then
Mhm.
more feeling and more knowing came through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The steps. Thank you for sharing that. That's like it's interesting. That's like the first thing I wanted to kind of dig into a little bit. It's such a beautiful moment, a beautiful story. Yeah. So going back into, so we're talking about recent history here, 2021, back into like earlier life for you growing up in Morocco. How do you typify your childhood? Like, did you have unique, inquiries at that point, or any sense of um, spiritual calling in your young life?
Um, yeah, it was more like the beginning of my like when I became teenager
Mhm.
in the beginning, and what was available at that time for me, it's religion. So I went through that. I started the journey through that, and because in general, I'm very curious. I go like very deep. I
Yeah.
want to learn like everything about something and experience everything about it.
Yeah.
So I was like trying every time like different groups, different philosophies, or maybe ways perspective,
Mhm.
and yeah, it took me a long time, and I remember like I was from like I tried more like open and um to like the very traditional and religious thinking.
Yeah.
So I tried like all of them at some point, but then after many years, um, I felt like I'm not meant to be like follower. It's there is something more than that, and like having rules that we need to follow, and if we don't follow them, then we will be punished. It felt something not resonating with me, and through different experiences that I started exploring other things, um, like spirituality. But that was, I don't know, like maybe 10 years later, or no, maybe less than that.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
because there was someone in the Arab world like bringing the spirituality and sharing teachings about that. And also, like through that, what she's creating the community, I met my ex-wife, and that
Mm.
experience also, I think that opened a lot for
Yeah.
me. Like she was much more spiritual, and for me it was intense, but also like very big and very fast openings were happening. Like really, it
Really?
was very
Yeah.
accelerated
I hear that makes
experience.
me curious about your astrology when you say, I'm really on about something and I want to get to the very depths of it. I can really relate to that myself. Like it's not halfway and it's not lukewarm. It's all in or all out, or really want and moving quickly through things. Like, and you're the kind of guy I could see this now who would take that big leap, the point A to point B, and this is scary and oh, going against so many things that I know. But so there's a few steps here I wanted to ask you about. The you were trained as an engineer, right? Was that in
Yes,
the tech? Is that true? Tech industries type stuff that
yeah,
you were doing? Yeah.
yeah. I was like telecommunication and microelectronics.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I worked like in that field, like telecommunication, for 5 years and half.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but I always had the feeling that I wanted to do something on my own, like offer my own service or do in my business.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, um, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, so in the years leading up to, was it because you left that world in 2013? Is that correct?
Yes, yeah,
2013. And there was the spiritual, would you say spiritual awakening was happening during those years in tandem with your work as an engineer?
yeah, because um, spirituality, and before that, I was more into self-development, and I did that because like I had, or I mean, it's still present a little bit now. It's like the theme of maybe lack of self-worth and also separation. Like it was
Mm,
like really huge for me,
yeah.
and I went like to self-development so I can feel better about myself, and also it can help me to create something because I something that I really loved, because deep within I didn't want to just follow the normal path.
Yeah.
And also like from self-development, it led me through different experiences, one after the other, to spirituality. But it was at the same time. I was attending seminars, reading books. Like even I traveled to a different country to attend. Like it was a seminar, and all of that. I didn't expect that I will be, like my vocation will be in spirituality. It was just like for me, like my personal awakening.
Yeah. I see that. Well, as time went on, I think there was a dimming of excitement about the work you were doing in tech, and like, okay, now it's time to leave this. So, was there a pivotal moment? Like, was there like a day or a week or a something or a dream or a something happened? Tell us about that.
Yeah, but before that, I think it was a couple of years that I wanted to leave my job. But the reason, it was either I was mad at my boss because of the way he treated me, or I didn't like, it was like we had too much stress in that field.
Yeah.
So something I didn't like, it's like I wanted to run away. But each time, either it was my own decision, or like receiving advice from someone I know, maybe just wait a little bit more until you feel that it's the right timing.
Yeah.
And so in the end, it came to me like I was seeing two paths. I had to make a choice, either to commit fully to the engineering, because I wasn't doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, not so committed to the engineering. All right. Yeah.
And or like leave and create the new path. And it was very easy to decide. I don't know how it happened. It just it was like just very natural, very easy decision to take.
Yeah.
But then after that, I needed to convince people around me, family, and
okay, now this gets really juicy because and so many, people can relate. My viewers can relate to this. I meet with so many clients. So much of my demographic are people who, they're maybe in different ways moving through a similar experience of like, I'm doing this job, I'm doing this thing, I can't quite move forward into taking that leap, and I so want to, but what if I lose my spouse or my family members, or I think it's as I reflect now on my own path, like being afraid of coming out of the spiritual closet and a lot of other things in the darker aspects of my story. I was terrified of coming forward with that, but it's almost like we have to say yes to our own life, or what are we doing? Like your story just really, I feel, will speak to many in our audience about what it can look like when we say yes to the heart's calling and yes to the higher self, and maintaining fidelity to the highest purpose that we have. So it's really beautiful. So tell us about what happened then. Friends, where were you? I mean, I traveled to Morocco, spent time there, and I would say, and certainly, my experience it's dated, it's 20 years ago, so I'm sure things have shifted, but it's very, it's traditionally Muslim. It's a Muslim world. Yes, is that correct? So, and were you raised in a pretty traditional environment, Moncef?
Not like, my mother was like more open, and I grew up with her because my parents divorced when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
But I was like the one, at some point I became the most traditional one in the family.
Oh, really?
So not them. Yeah. For me, they were like not, at some point I was thinking they were like not really following the religion.
This is so interesting. This just got really interesting. So you're the more conservative perhaps in the family at first.
I was that, at some point.
So when did anybody in the family know that you were like moving toward a departure from your job and into more spiritual pursuits, or?
Like, because I felt there would be resistance. Initially I didn't want to tell anybody, but also I was married. I told my ex-wife, and so for her, like in the beginning, she was excited. But she convinced me that I need to tell my family.
Yeah.
And but also like in the beginning, she helped me because she was like really great speaker. She knows how to speak to people. And for me, I had like issues speaking up and expressing my truth.
Yeah.
So like she was calming down things in the beginning. But later after divorce, it was like it's like the message, it's my own path. It's me who need to walk that, and I need to
Yeah.
speak
Yeah. Yeah.
speak my truth. Yeah.
Did you make anyone like really upset in your family, or was there a lot of backlash?
Y- y- Yeah, because like engineering, like it was very like respected position and stable, and especially that I studied for many years. It's a long path, but yeah. So for them, it's like making a decision towards something that is not even sure that will work, and also
Yeah.
they don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And also for me, I didn't know at that time. So
Yeah.
it's so for them, it's like I will like at some point I will be lost and can't maybe build a life. So it felt like that for them. So there was a big resistance toward that. Like for them, like from my understanding, is that they want me to be more safe. It's not that
Yeah.
just being against me, but it's more, and this is the way they express that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember, back a long time ago in the last century, moving from high school into the more adult arena, and I was just wanted to make art, and I made a career as a studio artist for 25 years. But there wasn't a lot of support in doing that because it's not a safe path. Like, what are you going to do for money, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So those paths less taken, even in artist, is, pretty conventional in a lot of ways. But anyway, I think that's so yeah, that's relatable for people in the audience. So and at the time when you left the job, you didn't know that you were gonna, I don't think you identified at all as being a starseed, probably at that point. No, what's that? And did you have a sense that, I don't think the podcast thing was even on the radar at that point either? Is that true? Or
No,
okay.
no, like I just had an idea because before leaving my job, I made some research. I knew just like affiliate marketing, things like that.
Yeah.
And just I decided I will do something. But once I left my job, I went like it was in Morocco. I went to like spend a week in the mountains just to know what I will be doing, and I felt like this is not the thing I want to do. So then I started searching, and after some time, the podcast came up
Okay.
from someone online, and I just felt I want to learn about that.
Yeah.
So I signed up to his course, and yeah, then I started the first podcast.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, it was called Manifested Happiness.
Manifested happiness. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the name.
And what year, that was like 8 years ago or so, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was it started in 2014 because I
Yeah.
spent like couple of months,
Yeah.
maybe the end 2013.
Yeah.
I started this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so when you think back to that guy now 10 years ago, to this guy now, Moncef, in 2024, how do you regard him? How do you regard this path? Like, what comes to you? I'm sure a variety of things, but tell
I
us about
mean,
that.
yeah, I never thought about that, but now as you're asking, it's like it's really yeah, I feel like maybe now maybe so much love and also respect because
Mm,
it was so scary at that time.
yeah.
Um, and just with the podcast because the I remember just listening to my voice like on recording. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I kept postponing. I did few interviews
Mhm.
and kept postponing the lunch because I couldn't like listen to the audio and just add the music. And
Yeah.
I remember I was recording my parts again and replacing them because
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I did that few times.
Mhm.
But still, yeah, I'm glad it felt like I'm going anyway. I'm following this path. It felt like that there is no plan B. There is just this, and I need to
Yeah.
keep moving forward.
Oh, and thank you so much. I mean, I love that. This is really relatable to me. Like, I never would have thought I'd be here interviewing somebody or having a YouTube channel or, speaking more publicly. Similarly, I could not listen to my voice on an audio recording. It's like, oh no, who is that? That's awful. But you bring me to the piece about, trusting the path, right? Surrendering to the path, or what I would call the life that wants to live us, letting that come through and kind of getting out of the way. I mean, I feel like you've had to really trust the path, trust the life, trust the journey over and over and over again to do what you've done, because your divine uniqueness is your full-time gig. I mean, that's what you
Yeah,
do. Yeah,
yeah,
it's not a side gig to anything else. That's the
yeah.
full-time thing. And you put out, I feel, how many shows a week? Is it 3 or 2 or?
No, two.
Okay, 2 shows a week. That's a lot. Anyway, I had a question in there. And tell us about the self-trust piece, or what have you learned about that, or
Um, like it, like throughout the journey, it felt like there are two personalities. One that is more, they have a deep knowing and just following the path.
yeah.
Um, and another one like scared and resisting and trying to
Mm,
um like be more safe.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it felt like the one who was scared or was allowed to be that and to resist, it was okay. And then like with time, like there was like different aha moments, like realizing that yeah, it can be safe not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like with time, like the trust between the two started building up with more experiences, because the the more I was taking decisions or taking risks, small or big, it was like opportunity for the scared part of me to understand after going through the experience that yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay. We don't need like really to worry
Yeah.
about that. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I think that's really relevant to everybody. And when we take, it's sort of like this little bit of exposure at a time allows us to begin to trust a little more and to take the next step and to trust, and like, hey, we haven't been eviscerated by this experience yet. I can keep going a little bit more, and baby steps, baby steps. I always
yeah,
feel like, I guess when I look at my own path, it's like it wasn't, well, there were some big leaps. Yes, there was. But it's also like the small foundational steps that we keep taking that really solidify the whole path. I don't know if solidify is the right word, but they stabilize us, I feel, so we can um,
yeah.
have that trust and keep kind of opening to the journey. Um, so with the group journeys, how do people connect with you about that? Is that something you're doing in addition to or outside of your divine uniqueness and the shows that you're hosting? Or tell us
No,
about
I've been doing it as part of the show, like just instead of interviewing a guest, like I just do the live call on my own,
that.
and
Okay. Yeah.
I start a journey with the group, and then there is a replay.
Okay.
So
Well, we'll link one of those below so
okay,
people can check it out. And yeah, we'll link your
yeah, there is a playlist for those.
okay. Yeah, I'll link that for everybody. Um Now, a couple of things. Let's go into the Pleiadian connection. How do you experience that Pleiadian connection? Maybe that comes up when you're guiding the journeys, or can you talk about that.
Um, like in the beginning, it was more like feeling the presence in my body.
Mhm.
It's like on the left side. But then after that, I just yeah, I was just feeling the presence.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because in general, I feel like the energy in my head, and when I feel connection, it's I don't know. It's like my ears go back a little bit, and I feel some kind of energy
Yeah.
happening there. This is how I feel the presence.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, that's interesting. I'm teaching an awakening course right now to a big group, and one of the things, inviting people to do is kind of notice more of their interoceptive experience, the sensations that move through the body that can indicate a lot of different multidimensional shifts and the presence of maybe other or higher self or, internal vision. And what you said about the ears and the left side and, the sort of subtle sensation, I think, can be when we attune to that more and more deeply. I find that a lot comes through, and a lot can be perceived beyond the ordinary through noticing those subtle shifts. Is that something you had to really work with over the years to discern, or what's your relationship with that developing for you? Just noticing those subtle cues.
No, because through the show I heard about I learned that we can feel through our body, and then with just experience doing some kind of meditations, and it was 1 week, maybe more, I don't remember, maybe 2, and through those everyday meditations or exercises, I started feeling the presence. It was calling in the presence, or maybe being, or higher selves, and then trying to maybe differentiate between them. And that way we can, when we call in someone, we can through our body know who is present with us.
Thank you so much for saying that. I love that. Yeah. This is very true in my experience as well. And sometimes it's hard to get people on board with turning their awareness more internal, and especially people who have had trauma, myself included in the early days. It's like the body isn't always something we want to attune to, whereas subtle sensations, or might be like, oh no, I can't do that. But I appreciate you speaking to that. And also you said something originally, you sense the Pleiadian presence through your left side. Is there anything else you want to share about that, or I relate to some piece of that. I'm just curious about your experience. Yeah.
Describe how it felt,
Yeah,
or
is it a vision, or is it a sensation through the body? Is it a hearing? Is it a knowing? Is it
it's more like vision and
Yeah.
sensation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes feeling like a friend on the side, putting their hand on
Oh,
your
yes.
shoulder.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's felt that way.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I have some anomalies that go on my left side. Left side always feels like it's open to space. And this side, the right side, very grounded in this reality. So anyway, that's not here or there particularly, but I was curious when you mentioned that. And the Pleiadians, would you say you're one of them? Would you say you are one of them?
Maybe I see it not me, like Moncef, the incarnation,
Yeah.
but more it's
Yeah.
our soul,
Mhm.
or maybe higher self, incarnated is incarnating at the same time, because time is more
Yeah.
an illusion in different parts,
Yeah.
and having these connections on the same time. It's I don't see that I'm coming from somewhere. It's
Yeah.
I'm in all those places at the same time and having that connection.
Yeah.
So, but Moncef is human.
Yes, absolutely.
Isn't
Yeah. And it can be, and I'm putting you on the spot to parse out things that in linear terms get kind of slippery, because we kind of have these limits of human language to describe things that are quantum in nature. Not always an easy task. So,
yeah.
and what are the keynote signatures when you feel their presence? You spoke about somatically, but is there like an emotional feel that you kind of sense moving through, or emotional tone to that at all?
It's how to say, maybe a feeling of acceptance and also welcoming. It's it's not like I take care of something, but there is the energy of care happening, that
Yeah.
that someone is accepted as they are. They don't need to do anything or change anything about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, some described it as motherly feeling. I had either testimonial about that.
Mhm.
but yeah, for me, yeah, maybe that way, but I see it more like creating a space where everyone can be there and they are safe and loved and accepted as they are.
Yeah.
And that's the energy uh, that's being transmitted. Yeah.
Very much so. I've listened to your shows and been on your show, and that's very true. It very feels very magnanimous and holding and allowing, and sheltering, I would say. And yeah. Any brushes with darker forces, darker beings in your spiritual journey?
Um, like the intuitive, it's when receiving intuitive maybe guidance or messages,
Mm.
because along the path, it's like started creating my own language of receiving intuitive messages. And sometimes I feel like this language, it's not an intuition, but used for something else, like getting distracted or
Yeah. Yeah.
so like each time like I start to use a language, then at some point, yeah, it starts being used for something else. So I felt that along the way. So it's more like also for me to practice um to feel more like try to give time to feel into that if it's intuition or not, and learning to discern.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that word discernment popped into my head, like
yeah,
trust popped in earlier,
yeah,
that trust piece and then the discernment piece. Yeah, I think what I hear you saying is like, oh, are these messages, is my mind kind of manipulating these, or is something else coming in, or is there fear coming in? Versus what's the actual message? Is that kind of what you're saying? Like, well, how do
yeah.
we, yeah,
Sometimes I feel it's like there is manipulation. Other times it's just me who are creating this.
yeah.
It's like when I receive the first hint, I don't like it, and I persist. I try again, and then I get the thing that I feel more comfortable in. And when I follow through, I realize in the end that the first hint was much easier. Um, so yeah, so it can be different things. But also I remember because I did some energy clearance. Uh, because I had some issues, like I was feeling not being able to sleep and heart palpitations, and I wasn't aware what was happening. And also I did some energy clearance with the healer, and we could remove that. So all of that stopped after maybe a couple of weeks, few weeks or something.
Okay.
And it was about removing energies that are not mine.
And you
That,
said it was
yeah,
about removing energies that weren't yours. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. 2020 it was, yeah. But it started in 2019.
hmm hmm hmm
Mm.
Wow. And do you have a sense of what the interference, like what catalyzed that for you, or anything particular?
Maybe, I don't, because like I wasn't giving like importance about what I'm picking up, the
Mm-hmm.
energetics from others, like physical beings or not.
Oh, yeah.
It's like allowing everything to
Everything's coming in. Okay.
like
Okay.
everyone is welcome.
Yeah. Everyone's here. Hello. Yeah. And you're speaking to really salient points for everybody on the awakening path, I feel, with trusting the journey, opening up to the path it's calling you, and um, being discerning, honing discernment, and also the piece around, there's some protective piece in there for us as sensitives, intuitives, empaths, psychics, and so on. And do you have like a daily, two questions? Let me ask you first, do you have something that you do on a daily basis that helps you feel more protected from errant energies in the world? Um,
um, it's like it can change. It depends on
yeah.
period of time, the experiences I'm going through. But now it's more like trying to be with my inner child, and it's like a small kid trying to talk to him and surround him with love. So it's like bringing the energy of love And yeah, it's like I am present for you. It's like maybe that love that you didn't receive, I'm giving it to you now, and like we are one. We are working this together. Because
Yeah.
also like many things coming to the surface to be transmuted.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So I'm doing that yeah, frequently. Sometimes just going because we have like the sea close. I go there. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Go into the ocean.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, like the night sky, everything can kind of open on the sea. These vast
yeah,
expanses of the planet allow us to have deeper access to our own um, truth, our own power, our own heart, our own significance, and the fact that we're all just grains of sand in the great cosmos. We're stardust. So, wow. um, Thank you for sharing that. And I think you brought it back to, I always feel like the heart is my best, the amplification or working with the heart frequency. And in this case, you mentioned with the inner child is such the most massive protection we can have. Particularly how it relates to the human energy field too. It is expansive. So, yeah. There was another question there that slipped away. So there's always more. The inner child. I love you and I both speak quite a bit and work quite a bit with the inner child aspect. It feels like that's been really pivotal and continues to be pivotal on your path as you go through the years. I mean, is that accurate?
yeah, yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Child part.
Uh,
Um,
Because like I remember since childhood, there was that feeling of, yeah, I don't feel safe,
yeah.
like constantly.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, when I realized that, yeah, I recognized that it was very tiring to
Yeah.
to have that feeling, and it
Mhm.
was in the background, sometimes coming very strong,
Yeah.
but sometimes it was always there, but just in the background. And also thinking that it came through like when I need to take a decision.
Yeah.
So also I had the belief that maybe I am doing something wrong. So I
Mm.
had that as well. So yeah, so it's more about uh, creating safe space for my inner child to feel more safe uh, while releasing all of this.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I just went, oh, 100 million% totally. Yes, absolutely. I have a very parallel experience with that. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing about that. I think always seems to me that the child aspects can hold some of the deepest wounds, but also our greatest gifts and become powerful guides for us. I mean, is that reflected at all in your experience, Moncef? Yeah.
Um, for me, I see it's like how to say, it's like becoming friends,
Mm.
and like when it feels scared, so I'm being there for him, and
Yeah.
other times it's like he's becoming like more funny and making jokes. So it's like a relationship that is
Yeah.
evolving. Like it's like friendship.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
and also it's like uh, honoring the like the pace he needs to go through. Um,
Mhm.
like it's not about forcing the shift. Like sometimes I allow to like the feeling of fear to happen, like overreacting, things like that. It's like respecting what my inner child, like the traumas he's been through.
Yeah.
It's like I honor that. I understand, and
Yeah.
I don't try to change until yeah he feels ready. Then yeah, after that uh, we can uh, we can start shifting. But I allow some time for him to just be
Hmm.
express whatever
Yeah, I
he
like
needs to
that. I like
express.
that.
Yeah.
Well, beautiful. So, yeah, and for people who are maybe wanting to connect to the inner child part, but not really familiar with that or sure how to do that, do you have any suggestions?
um, it's like maybe in the beginning visualization, like remembering when they were a kid and having that. For me, it's like I feel him like inside toward the heart,
Hmm.
and always there, and starting to have a conversation. It just initiating that from time to time, and maybe in the beginning we are not used to that, so we will forget about that. But when we have the idea, just take maybe a couple minutes, and then just sit with them. And with time, the more we do that, it becomes just natural.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's really helpful.
Of course.
So, and the other question came back. I was wondering, do you have a spiritual practice that's daily for you? Anything that
It can be different things. Sometimes I meditate, like I listen to music. Sometimes I just go for a walk. It's more like contemplation.
Yeah.
Like I keep my eyes open. I can walk or just sit in nature.
Yeah.
And I do that especially when there are intense emotions, because I found it difficult to meditate at that time.
Yeah.
So it's like I adapt to, I don't keep it the same thing every time. It depends on what I need.
Okay.
But also when I feel I'm going like through a big shift, in general, I go alone and be in nature somewhere, like go to a village or something, because that helps a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's relatable as well for people. I mean, the as much as some of us as starseeds may struggle to be in this paradigm because it can feel really dense and difficult. Nature, the elemental realm of this world, can be so stabilizing and expansive, and that's certainly. Yeah, I'm still sort of on the back in the world a few days now from my trip up to the mountains and camping out in the winter and cold and all of this, but it was it cleans me out in a way where I can still feel that calm, and the presence of the higher self is very palpable. The presence of my guides, the presence of the upward leaning connection to the ship is really palpable, and so on and so on. But the natural world is always holding us, always calling us back.
Also the breathing, when
breathing.
in nature,
say more about that. Yeah.
It's just noticing the breathing. It's not like in general, like I can try to like breathe through the nose and exhale through the mouth, and like breathing into my stomach. But during the times I feel stressed, I just do the easiest way. It's more just a way to come back to the present moment. And also sometimes when walking, I try to notice what's around, like just seeing things. And many times I realize, this is very beautiful. I didn't notice it before.
The orientation to the environment, that sense of, maybe brings us back to the child aspect of that curiosity and that wonder, before we got all this heavy conditioning on us from our worlds that we grew up in, that magic is alive here. and maybe we feel many worlds in that moment. I know the deeper I sense nature, the more I'm sensing my star connections as well. Do you find that at all, or?
In general, for me, nature, it's just it's a place where I connect to myself, but also it leads me to connect to the other beings more comfortably.
Okay, there
like
we go.
My spirit guides, and
totally. So
but it starts with just connecting to myself.
Thank you. You make such beautiful reminders about the self connection, the nature connection, and then the openings to the other beings. So do you feel the Pleiadians close to you as much as you want to tune into them? They're probably around. Is that
like in general, like when I start a journey or something, like it's right away. I feel it. It just I shift my awareness to their presence, and it just
Mm. Yeah,
it happens right away. Yeah.
thank you. Now, and since that opened up, are you also aware of other beings, any other energy systems that are close to you, um, or is that the main thing?
Um, for now, it's the strongest. I've been feeling like Arcturians, but it was not like strong.
Mhm.
Felt in like presence, but not like really. Uh, it's more the focus with Pleiadians.
Mhm.
That's what I've been feeling in general.
Yeah. When you mentioned the Arcturians, I just felt a blast of like healing energy. You know, I don't know if you perceive yourself ever as a healer, but I would say that maybe that's part of the space that you hold, you know, is
Yeah.
that healer's energy. Um, any other, you know, teachings or teachers or traditions that have been really influential to you, Moncef? I know you mentioned in your early life, you know, more aligned with the conventional Muslim world. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, anything else that's been, and you did say, you know, you kind of followed around with different traditions, maybe. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Within it, but like in the end, it was more like the Sufism and
Mhm.
more like the philosophy of Sufism, because now
Mm.
it's it's still like about following like followers. I don't feel it in
Yeah.
uh it's more like I've been reading to all teachers. um I was like mostly feeling connected to the Rumi's teacher, like
Mhm.
Shams Tabriz. um
Yeah.
yeah, like he was very very wise. um because also for them, like their old philosophy, it's more like it's not about identifying being identified with a group or a religion or something.
Mhm.
It's like being the love that
Yeah.
we all are.
Yeah.
um but then after that, it's more I'm not trying to look to any tradition or maybe philosophy, but more about finding my own wisdom. It's like my following my own path. That's how it
Yeah.
evolved to that. So
Yeah.
it's like I feel I don't need to be identified by anything. Not
Mhm.
not just spirituality. I feel that's like fading away with time.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's like we are connected. I'm connected to everyone, but I don't need that identification anymore.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank you.
sometimes it's come. I mean, sometimes yeah, but it's going away with time.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, I mean, when I listen to you, I feel like the teachings of unconditional love and acceptance are really strong inside of you. Or like when I hear it, like when I listen to your basic message, you know, it's always like you said, I think you said being the love that we are is a primary being that love is so much of what pours through you and your sessions and you know what you impart to the world is that model or that encouragement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also trust in ourselves that we are
Yeah.
sovereign beings, because also sometimes like following tradition or even when listening to a channeler channeling other beings,
Mhm.
it seems like there is that feeling that they are better than us. It's like we look up to them.
Mm.
It's like they are gods and we are like less than that. It's more about we are the same. This
Mhm.
is how I see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just we are on our path of remembering, but when we connect to them, it's more about collaboration, and we have the right to, if we don't feel comfortable with a message they channel, yeah, we have the right to say no. So it's not just yes to everything. Like check in within, check in our hearts. That's how
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you. You said something I was listening to the other night about what was it? I think it for me boiled down to the value of equanimity and letting others make their own journeys.
Yeah,
As far as, you know, we who are empaths and really called to serve in the world can sometimes get caught up in like trying to save or fix other people. And sometimes too, that can go along with sort of bypassing some of our own growth and development. I'm paraphrasing you, of course, and this is colored a little bit by what I observe in my, on the path and with clients and so on. But I think that was a beautiful point about just holding space for others to go where they need to go. Yeah.
Yeah, that part. It's like I've been learning about that like over the years, because sometimes like we want to help others,
Yeah.
but also we try to save them. And also it's been very strong like for me, because coming from like my culture in the culture I grew up in Morocco, it's like we are there is this togetherness, and like the family is very important, and if someone has something like we need to intervene, it's like for them
Right.
it's a support.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I realized along the way that sometimes I don't need that support, like it's not serving me. It's
Mm.
so I realized that because I had that also, I wanted to sometimes save someone
Yeah.
and intervene in their path. But
Yeah.
then I realized, yeah, I'm not here to make it to decide for them, but give them the freedom to choose.
Mhm.
If they want my opinion, yeah, I share it. But if not,
Mhm.
it took me some time to just allow, and it's part of the acceptance, accepting people as they are.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
it's a really good point and well spoken. Thank you for that. It's poignant. Something we come back to again and again and it can be tricky, you're watching somebody, like an extreme example might be self-destructing, you know,
yeah,
eh, what is the soul's journey there? Where do we intervene? Where do we pull back and how do we empower them to make the path, make the journey, whatever that might be for them? I don't
yeah,
ever know what somebody has lived through, what the conditions and the causes of their karma are, or and so on and so on, what the soul's uh, code is within something. So, and that can be a really tricky edge to ride, I feel.
yeah.
So,
But also, like from my experience, there is also honoring ourselves, because sometimes when we try to do that to save others,
mhm.
especially when they choose not to, like
Yeah,
they don't want to shift or look like clearly in what is happening for them, and we try
yeah,
to save them, it's like
yeah.
both of us are drawn in. Um,
Mhm.
and then we need, for me, by experience, like I learned this the hard way, but
Yeah.
I learned that, yeah, if it's their choice, even if it looks like really bad for them,
Mhm.
and they don't want our help, then we just need to
Yeah.
move on and
Yeah.
let them make their own choice. Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you. I think the thing that I've come back to over the years is the one thing I can do is work with myself. I know that's available to me. That's an open playing field. That's where the work is. Can't change anybody else's thing, but I can do that. And in the end, I feel like we become models. How can I really honor my own life so I'm honoring everybody else around me? Um, that's how I look at my work in the world with others. And always, yeah, trying to empower people to be empowered themselves on their journeys. So,
yeah.
yeah, what would you tell, people watching who might be really struggling? Do you have any words of wisdom or, um, your compassionate gaze on that? What would you say? How do what's the most important thing?
Um, yeah, because like now it's like we are going through like really big shifts collectively and also personally, and sometimes we are not even aware of what's going on. Like it's at the same time so many things happening, and we can feel easily overwhelmed. So, and also like for me, how I see it is like we are learning to shift our perspective about our actions and decisions we make from a reaction because of past traumas. Like we've been seeing them as mistakes, and then we feel like blaming ourselves for doing that. And I feel like we are learning to shift, like instead of blaming ourselves, like approaching them from understanding that like we've been through a lot, and that's it's natural to have that reaction. So it's more about, again, like coming back to the inner child. It's like holding their hands and telling them, yeah, it's okay. We'll try again the next time. And that's very natural. You've been through a lot, and it's more about approaching that with love instead of judgment or blame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So just a spot on your travels. Do you have any travels planned, Moncef? Are you, I know, you're like I said, in Europe and Spain at the moment, and we spoke about, Turkey. And I think have you traveled in Bali and Southeast Asia as well?
Yeah, it was March, the beginning of March 2020, when I arrived 5 days later. Morocco, they closed the borders.
COVID. So you get to Bali and then the border, the whole COVID thing is blowing up, and then
Yeah. And then yeah, I was like planning to stay Bali only 1 month and a half, and like traveling Thailand, China, like
okay.
total 6 months. Like that was the initial plan, but then when the COVID happened, I stayed in Bali 13 months.
Mhm.
Um,
Wow.
then
Wow.
Turkey more than a year, and it's like I was trying to find places with less restrictions to feel
Yes.
more comfortable.
Yeah, 100%. Sure. Wow. Um, oh. Any chance you went to Göbekli Tepe?
Yeah, I went.
Oh,
Yeah,
you did.
I
I
mean,
have such a calling there. I have such a big, big, deep calling for years to go there. It just, I mean, can you give us a little scent on the breeze of the energies there at all?
um, like I went there just I had curiosity because
Mhm.
I saw a Turkish series. It's like metaphysical, spiritual,
Mhm.
and they were like talking about Göbekli Tepe as a portal. And then
Oh,
I
The Gift.
decided,
Did you watch The Gift?
yeah, the gift. That's
I
right.
saw that that whole Netflix series. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So, so for those people who maybe are unfamiliar, it's not, we mostly think of Egypt as the premier sacred site on the planet. It's, Göbekli Tepe also in Turkey is got
I
some
think
pretty,
12,000 years old.
yeah, is how it's been
Yeah.
dated, but I feel like it's when I look at it psychically, it's way older. Like that thing was
Okay.
seeded with stardust and star codes. Anyway, just to tell people in the audience who may not be familiar, yeah,
Yeah.
go take the story on. Take that forward, Moncef.
And yeah, so I when I knew about it, so I decided to go to have a visit, and it was like, I don't know, but the way, like the codes they had, because it's a language that until now no one understands.
Yeah.
Um, it felt also there was connection with the elemental kingdom in the codes they were using. You can see animals and things like that. It's not like the Egyptian. It's very different.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like it was in a huge empty space. It's like on a top of a hill, and it's like you have like very open sights around it. It felt like maybe it's the one that is because there are a few others underground, but it was mainly about that. And like I felt mostly the energy about the like very old trees there, like ancient ones.
Mm. Hmm.
Um, Felt something happening there, but I don't know. It felt probably also had something to do with that in a past life, but I don't know the details.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but yeah, but for me it was more like curiosity and
Hmm.
exploration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm.
I'm closing my eyes because I'm getting a nice energetic from all that. Thank you so much. I just had a little journey there with you. So, okay. How can people connect with you? It's mostly through Your Divine Uniqueness, the website. Is that right?
Yeah, and
Okay.
also it's like the since last year, because we were doing audio, and beginning of last year we shifted to video, also available on YouTube. And I just also started a podcast because I've been mainly interviewing
Yeah.
guests,
Yeah.
and the podcast is only me like sharing my own
Mhm.
insights and about like from my own experience and intuitive messages. And it's a weekly every Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all
So
on YouTube and the website. So
okay, yeah, we'll link all that below so you
mm,
can check out more with Moncef whenever you
mhm.
feel to. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks.
And yeah, I have more questions and maybe you'll come back and lead a guided
Yeah.
journey for us on the channel. That would be
Yeah,
lovely.
of course.
Oh, yeah. So, and for me, if anybody wants to book, I do inner child healing sessions and inner child work that you can book with me, as well as Starseed coaching, galactic attunements, Akashic readings, and quantum healings. All that is linked below. Beautiful to speak with you. I'm so happy to have your heart energy here on the channel. And thanks so much, Moncef.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I really love to be here with you. Love the energy and
Yeah.
yeah. Also, it's been really fun. So really love the discussion we had. Thank you.